Welcome back to the Constitution. Nope. Late night lately. I don't know what shows I'm doing anymore. They're all blending together. Welcome back to Late Night Lately, episode 7. I'm your host, Chad White. If you didn't know, this is the premiere. Nope. This is the late night podcast for the website, cpluscomedy.com. Like I just said, it's a website. Go there. We're all sorts of all over the place today. So why don't we just get into the monologue? It's a week late. All right, let me pop it open. I'm out of breath for some reason. Hey, Trump sat down with Sean Hannity for a 40-minute interview that ranged from all types of topics to his faking presidency and maybe he'll run again in 2024. Look, I think we have a clip. Let me show you that.
Oh, I can be tough like your boys. Yeah. Oh, that's what you like, huh? Oh, now you're on my blanket, bro.
Yeah, get on my blanket, bro.
Oh, now you want on my big blanket?
Now you want to be on my big blanket?
I gotta be aggressive. Oh, there you are. There you are.
I can be. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What's going on?
Over your blanket.
Okay. So actually, that turns out that was a clip from the movie Bros. I don't know how that got in there. I actually have a real clip. Let me show you that. All right, if you're listening to the audio, you just heard the clips, and I feel so bad. That last clip was actually just a dog sniffing another dog's butt and then puking. So there was no clip of the interviews, and I'm so sorry for that, for having to deal with these jokes. Hey, listen, former President Trump has been indicted after a grand jury found him guilty of misuse of campaign funds after he paid adult film star Stormy Daniels $130,000 in hush money. Can you imagine Trump in jail trying to impress the other inmates? I lasted really, really long with her. She was begging me to do it again. I had to pay her to stop from bragging about my skills in bed. And also, I killed so many people on the outside. I'm a big murderer. These teardrop tattoos, it's not grease. It's not grease from McDonald's hamburger. It's a teardrop tattoo. For the 6th year in a row, Finland has been dubbed the happiest country in the world. And here's a picture of their prime minister celebrating. He looks pretty happy. In other Finnish news, Finland is set to join the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, otherwise known as NATO, this week. And again, their prime minister is beaming with excitement. And finally, a 13-year-old boy spent 3 years camping outside of his home in order to raise cancer awareness. And they say divorce doesn't have any effect on children. That is the end of the jokes that I have for the show. Don't know why I minimized that window. Hey. Welcome back, episode 7. Last week was a doozy in terms of late night. We got John Leguizamo, known actor, coming in to host The Daily Show. We had a slew of great guests across the board, and I muted the computer, so just in case when I click on something, I don't hear it. And what a set of things we got for you today. Listen, let's talk about John Leguizamo hopping on The Daily Show last week. I didn't know that an actor, even an actor of his caliber, let's just go ahead and put him up there in the A-list because he's a recognizable guy. John Leguizamo did such a good job. It like he did better than, I want to say, a lot of the comedians that have previously been guest hosting. That's this show, The Daily Show. And it's amazing how he just hopped on there and just like took the helm and really steered the ship of the show. He was personable. He made mistakes. He went along with their stupid little green screen bits that I prayed that they would not be doing with these guest hosts. And yet here they are. The green screen thing is coming from them doing that stemmed from the pandemic, and I just don't like it. I don't think it's funny. I don't think anything they do with that is funny. Leguizamo he was so charismatic out there on stage, and a lot of it, like, it just came off naturally. It's like when Kimmel reads his monologues, it just comes off pretty natural. And I gotta say, he did a fantastic job. Now, the entire week, he interviewed, I believe, Latino women the entire time. Let's see. He did Ben de la Creme, who was a drag queen, and then he did Anna Navarro. Oh, excuse me, no, Ben de la Creme was for Al Franken. Excuse me, Anna Navarro, Diane Guerrero, Princess Nokia. Diane Guerrero is one of my future brides, and I have many future brides. And then he did Richie Torres. I didn't watch the Thursday episode. Can you tell? and then he had enough guts to do an after the cut, or they had enough stuff to do an after the cut. I really enjoyed him. He was really, really good, and he has great banter with the correspondents, which is something that a lot of other guest hosts did not. Some people can do it well by themselves, and then when it came to the correspondence, they had a really tough time kind of juggling that, but then they did well with the interviews. Some people just did better with the interviews. Some people did better with the correspondence and not really the stand-up, the monologue part of it. And one in an interview that I really liked was the Anna Navarro. If you know her, she's from The Talk, the one with all the women squawking. Women squawking. That is not the title of this episode. I will not be titling it that. I'm not trying to get canceled. And she put up a fight for bringing together Latinos, blacks, and Democrats. And as loud as she was, she made a lot of good points, and she can really hold her own in a discussion. And I liked her. I do not plan on watching The Talk. I get the emails from Deadline and Variety summarizing The Talk, and they're stupid. Not the show is stupid. The show is stupid, not the people. I just have no interest in watching the show. That show feels like it's live to tape, and it feels like there's something that Whoopi Goldberg or even any one of the hosts have to apologize for every single week. Like there's at least one thing. Whoopi Goldberg says puppies shouldn't be allowed to vote, and he's like, Whoopi's got an Instagram post. I'm sorry, I said puppies shouldn't vote, but they shouldn't. That was my Whoopi Goldberg impression. I will be touring it alongside of my other impressions. I did a shoulder workout this morning, and my shoulder's killing me. This is also the same shoulder that was hurt. I used to work at a UPS factory, and this was also the same shoulder that just was in so much pain from literally doing the same thing all of the time. Just shoveling a bag down a chute, getting rid of the bag. Shoveling a bag full of packages down a chute, getting rid of the bag. It was the worst. I hated it. And Jesus. Oh, I hate it so much. Next up, let's talk about Seth Meyers. He did 4 closer look segments last week. 4. Which may not be unheard of, but typically how his show goes, how the late night with Seth Meyers goes, is he does monologue, then he does a prepared bit like Closer Look, Amber Says What, Seth Jokes Can't Tell, Seth Can't Tell, Karen Chi Doesn't Know How to Use Google, the rest of those things. And Karen Chi Doesn't Know How to Use Google. I love that one. That's a funny title. I don't like the sketch, but I like the title I gave it. And then he does interview segment. And then sometimes bit with the writer, then another interview segment. More or less it was the same thing all the time. Usually he does Closer Look twice a week. But last week, it was just 4 straight days. And I didn't notice it until it happened. So he did one on Monday, Tuesday, then Wednesday, and Thursday. And then when I initially wrote down my list, he did 2 in a row, and they were very, very funny, obviously. That's the reason why I mentioned it. I don't know how. I think it's the head writer, Sal. Head writer. I think Sal's a head writer. Head writer of Late Night. Seth Meyers. I believe it is spelled Myers wrong. I believe it is Sal. And he's or Alex Blaze. But one of those people, is it Sal Gentry? Sal Gentile. Okay. Sal Gentile is one of the writers. Or is it? I don't care. I really don't care. Anyway, just to think that, somebody has to write these and then other people have to source the clips and then they have to think of jokes around it. I think it works. I think it works in their head writer is Alex Bays. And it works in their favor, and I just can't believe that they did. I mean, let's average out the time of a closer look. Sometimes they range from, the early ones are like from 6 minutes, 7 minutes, and now they can go upwards of 15 sometimes, depending. And then they even had a breakout one-time episode of a closer look that was like 22 minutes or something like that. And I mean, it's just to write, let's do an average of 11 minutes. That's 44 minutes that week that were just dedicated to that segment. Speaking of late nights, Andy Samberg stopped by to promote Dig Man on the Paramount-owned Comedy Central, and he did something that has been something that I would have loved to have done on late night myself, which was his own segments for late night that are just poorly done riffs on what Seth already does. He has a grosser look. He's just got Seth Gets Roasted or something like that, and it is just textbook goofing around. Two friends goofing around. It's something that really, it's when somebody that somebody else knows comes onto a show. It is just when the host knows the person personally. It is so great. It's the same thing that happens with Fallon and anyone from SNL or Timberlake. Same thing that happens with Stephen Colbert and anybody from his Daily Show days. I really like that. Or similarly, it's Ben Affleck when he pops in on Jimmy Kimmel show, and he was there for 2 segments, a total of 20 minutes, talking about the movie Air that premieres soon. And when you get Ben Affleck with somebody that he knows, he really opens up, and he's a really fun guy. And they brought in, they had a little Matt Damon video visit that was pretty funny. We got to hear about why Viola Davis was chosen to play Michael Jordan's mother, and he's the reason Michael Jordan asked for that directly. What do they do with the Michael Jordan problem inside of the Air movie, which is you can't cast anybody to play Michael Jordan because he's Michael Jordan, because you're going to know it's not Michael Jordan. So they just use clips and a stunt double or somebody who is playing that young version of Michael Jordan. It's just a great interview all around. Next up, we got Tariq Trotter. There's this thing that Fallon's team does, where they have like 4 or 5 clips from the news, and they will have Tariq Trotter will chime in, and it'll be like a recall or it's almost always a recall thing, but he'll Tariq Trotter, who is the Black Thought from the Roots, he'll chime in and go, "Oh man, I just got a new Hyundai car. I can't believe they're recalling it." And then the further in they go, the more he repeats whatever the newscasters say. And I just think I don't know what it is. I just think it's so funny. And I remember the first time I saw it a couple of months ago, I thought it was just the funniest thing in the world. And I will keep pointing it out that they do these things, like if the newscaster messes up, then Black Thought and Jimmy will repeat everything that person said, like right before they say it, and they mess it up in the exact same way. It's so good. So good. Next thing up is Jimmy Fallon brings these cool new sunglasses to late night where they're reversible, where the lens, it's not the lens, where the casing around the lens, the arms are reversible, so you can flip it to either have a blue side or a black side. And I mean, God willing, they are ugly. I do not like the way they look. They look like cat eye sunglasses, but they're done for a good cause. They're going to the Pupil Project. The proceeds, 100% of the proceeds are going to the Pupil Project, and I just think it's a great idea. And he gave some to the entire audience. They look like women's sunglasses to me. They look like, because they're like all sharp on these corners. They look like those glasses from like the 1940s that the women and the operators would use. Excuse me, sir. Dial 919. That was my impression of one of the lady operators. Gonna tour that with the Whoopi Goldberg one. And finally, Reggie Watts. He put on whiteface to perform and a costume to perform stand-up for the Late Late Show, which I think was just fantastic. It doesn't even matter if he said anything. If he said anything at all, he just came out and he had blonde hair. His name was Morven Splaversby. And it was just like, he like truly could have just come out and stood there for 4 minutes. And I thought it would have been funny. It's very funny that they did this. And I think it's a good thing. All right. Anyway, that's what happened. And late night, those are my favorite things. And late night, you might notice that they're all from the top of the week. Most of them are from the top of the week. And that is the truth. Hey, let's move on. This is the thing I want to talk about. This comes from Variety, written by Michael Schneider. The Late Late Show with James Corden will end its run with 3 more carpool karaokes and a segment with the Kardashians. It's amazing how we are at the end of James Corden's rule of the Late Late Show, and it's probably the last version of Late Late Show that there will be. I think most in part to the decline in ratings and as well as decline of online views. And I think, I'll get to this during his last week, what I guess I'll cover every single episode of his show. But it was of that last week. I'm not going to cover every single episode. I've barely seen enough to constitute a percentage. I've seen enough. And we are at a point where he only has 12 episodes left before it ends at the end of April. Just a couple of episodes left. I guess this week, the next week, and the following week. Yeah, that's, man, I can't believe it. And it's been something. Again, I'll talk about that when I get to that. And apparently, this is revealed at Pally Fest this past. I guess this should have been this episode. I don't really care though. The Late Late Show had a Pally Fest panel at the Dolby Theater at Pally. And let's say the last hour is going to be on Thursday, April 27th. They're going to have a primetime special that night, the last Late Late Show with James Corden Carpool Karaoke special, which will air at 10 p.m. and feature Tom Cruise. They're going to have epic musical performances of The Lion King at the Pantages Theater in Hollywood. Bryan Cranston was the moderator. We're going to get we're just going to get a bunch of more. If you've noticed in the past couple of weeks, they've been doing a lot more carpool karaoke's. I want my wonderment is, will they continue doing carpool? Will Carpool Karaoke, this series, continue on Apple TV Plus, which it used to be on Apple Music? Given that Brian Cox and Alan Cumming were both going to be on this season, I don't understand why. I don't want to hear Brian Cox singing. Like, I don't even want to see that man attempt to sing. Oh, there's another video I wanted to watch and I wanted to mention. I'll just mention it in passing. It's called, for the Late Late Show, It's a Big Night for Middle Names. I did not watch it, and it's just the intro of the show with Jeff Goldblum and Owen Wilson, popping up and after the doors are knocked on and they talk. Anyway, I thought it was an interesting thing to look at. Okay, So they've been doing a lot more carpool karaoke's, and they've been getting, pretty much big enough people. Lil Nas X they had on a couple of weeks ago. Bad Bunny they had on a couple of weeks ago. I mean, it's like they're still missing people. It's so strange to me how they've gotten so many people for carpool karaoke, but they've yet to still hit a lot of people. That's what this show brought. They brought carpool karaoke. They really, if Jimmy Kimmel introduced the late night to YouTube and online video distribution, and Jimmy Fallon perfected it, then I would say that Corden brought it in to this next era of the internet with, Instagrammable moments and TikTok. I still think Jimmy Fallon and his team, they were I mean, it's just because of the right time. They were in the right time and the right moment to make things for late night perfect. And so both Kimmel, like all three of those shows will go down in history. All hosted by Jameses. Jimmy's. That's a good title. All right, let's write it down. Okay. Now apparently, Corden said he'd be willing to return to host the Tony Awards. They were going to play... Oh, they did play Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts. That's fun. I do like Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts. That is definitely one of my favorite things he does. I wish he would ask harder questions to the people. The thing of Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts was they had cuisine that is often found around the world or something that's just, straight up gross. And he would ask people like Harry Styles, Will Ferrell, like a question like, who is the person you hate to work with the most? And then they had a choice of eating, a fish eyeball or answering the question. I would always, if I was going to do that, I would always be like, I'll answer the question, and then immediately take a bite of whatever. Cause I think that'd be funny. That'd be a very funny thing. If they do reboot at midnight for this show, over this show, I don't know if that's even gonna work. That should definitely still be a Comedy Central thing because you can do so much more. Anyway, we're coming down to these final moments, and it seems that Corden is ready to go. Have you been watching the show lately? It has not been as tried and true as it was, let's say, 2 years ago, or even 3 or 4 years ago. Or maybe it's been the same thing. I wonder if, and I probably shouldn't ask this now, but was the show successful in bringing that British format, the panelist thing, over? The Graham Norton show has been doing the panelist thing, forever. And it works there, but seeing these numbers in the past couple of years on their YouTube channel, it's the things that hit it off, they hit it off, but the things that don't, they really don't. And that's a majority of their videos now. I mean, I'm looking at a stand-up from 3 days ago who has on the Late Late Show YouTube channel, who has 9.6 thousand views. And you scroll back a couple weeks, there's a video with Hong Chow, and that has 27,000 views. It's 3 weeks ago. It's just it's so disheartening to see this in late night. And only the most popular things were like James goes to Mars and he does a show for a week on Mars. That's the like stuff that even gets big there. But we'll see. We'll come back in 3 weeks and we'll definitely do an examination of that show. I'll make it 2 parts. Will I? I don't know. Who says I'll even remember? All right, I'm done. Hey, listen, if you like what you heard here, head to the website, cpluscomedy.com. where you can see other podcasts, including LinkedIn Logs, which is my LinkedIn influencer podcast / OnlyFans thing, I guess. I don't know. Platform. I try to become a LinkedIn influencer and also try to get a job because your boy needs it. You can also see the Constitutionals podcast, which is our premier podcast, which is entertainment business news, and I cover that in depth. If you want to see a video version of those shows and all these shows, head to youtube.com/C+comedy, where you can also see News Time, which is like the Daily Show, except way less funny. You can get your podcast wherever you get your podcasts. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok at C+comedy. Follow me at Chad Black White. Rate, review, subscribe. Tell your friends about it. And this is the end of the show. I really should have started the music a long time ago. But you know what? It allows me to do this. And this part is the part I like the most because now I'm just talking over the music. All right, that's it. Bye.